Hello friends, Dr. G here. I am going to do a narrated video, and if you are tuning in via just podcast, you won't be seeing any of the video, but I'd encourage you to find my YouTube channel, as well as I'm going to be uploading to Rumble and possibly my BitChute account. What else? We've got all kinds of options these days. Right now I'm just running in the background some video from my recent ride. It was one of the first leisurely rides I've done in a long time because I've been training for the 2022 spring and early summer race season here in my neck of the woods. And I want to cover a few things of what I did and what my experiences were this racing season compared to others. And I feel like it was a very successful one for my goals to being an amateur cyclist. So let me pause that video background there. That's a bit distracting because it's in front of my screen. Let me go first to talk about the race results. If you've been watching some of my other race videos, you would have seen that I posted some full-length video of my rides. Some of it was training warm-up and some of it was the race itself. It was actually the first time that I've uploaded any race video, so I carried the GoPro for a few races this year. I'm using a GoPro 6, I think, a black GoPro 6 with some stabilization, and then I use DaVinci editing software to try to stabilize it as much as I can, but it's mounted to my handlebars. Let's see, so I'm screen sharing right now with the Wednesday night mountain bike series race results. So just to orient any new watchers or you haven't been familiar with our local races, this is our local annual race series that starts every Wednesday night through May and June. And it's been going on quite a number of years. I've been doing it since around 2014. And we had one year where they didn't go because of COVID in 2020. This not last week, but the week before was the final Wednesday of June when we did our last number 9 race. So there were 9 Wednesdays in May and June this year, total of 9. These races, by the way, they take place near Spokane, Washington in Riverside State Park in eastern Washington. It's got a lot of multi-use trails and it's right next to the Spokane River, just north of downtown and kind of west of North Spokane. Yeah, our promoter, the Negative Split Timing Company here locally, puts these on, and the same guy's been putting them on quite a while now. I race in the 50 plus now that I'm 54, and they give 2 options. You can race a 1 lap or a 2 lap option. Laps range from anywhere from 6 to 8 miles typically. Sometimes occasionally we get to a 9-mile lap. These results are laid out here where you've got the total number of 2-lappers. That's the group that wants to do the longer distance each week. And it's categorized both male, female, and by age category. So I'm in the male 50 to 59. And over here on the far left, week 1, I finished 12th out of all 2-lapper riders. And my time, 47 minutes, 13.6. And I was 11th out of all men out of 60, and I was 2nd as far as my age category. And week 2, I was 15th out of all riders, 14th out of all men. I'm going to give out of 76 male riders, and then I was 4th. This week, I remember feeling like I was still catching up to the whole racing. I'd only done one pre-race or one race in April, beginning of April, I think, and then just been doing my training. Week 3, I finished 11th in an hour and 11 minutes or so, 10 out of 75 riders, and I was 2nd again. So I got my mojo back a little bit week 3. Week 4, again, 13th out of all riders, 11th out of all men, 2-lappers, 50 minutes, 52.3 seconds, and again, 2nd. So I got my 2nd place back. By the way, they don't give awards each week. It is an overall point total for the season finale when they give out awards for the age categories. It's 20 points for first place, and it's 1 point less for each placement below that. If you show up every week and you can place even in the top 5, you have a shot at it, depending on who shows up every week. as we'll see right here. So week 4, let me double check. I am on week 4, or sorry, now we're on 5. Did I skip 4? This is week 4. I was 13th and finished second again. Yeah, I did talk about week 4, and I was second week 3. They blend together. So week 3 and 4, I finished second. And then we get to week 5, where things changed a little bit because of the weather and a flat. So not only was it thunderstorms kicked up, it was a beautiful day, thunderstorms kicked up, show up at the race, downpour, and then it stops just before the race, but it was messy. And I was running a rear tire. I did a video on this, how in the 24-hour race I had flatted a pinch flat and had plugged it. This is ironically the first year I've been running Dynaplugs. Thankfully, excuse me, that I've been carrying Dynaplugs, and I was able to patch a tire, and I didn't have a replacement, so I was just running it with the plug in. Well, in this muck fest, I ended up losing the plug in the tire about halfway through the race, and I had to stop and plug it again. Lost a little over 5, somewhere between 5 and 10 minutes, but at least I was able to keep going. So I finished 6th, so 30th overall out of all of the 2-lappers. And now I'm curious how many riders were 60. So I still finished 30th out of 60. Hey, that's not so bad. Men 28th out of 101 total. By the way, I should note here, this number out of 101, this is all of the people who to date had registered for any Wednesday night race. So that's a little bit misleading. It's actually 28th out of, if you scroll down and look at the last finisher's time, it's 60 riders. Really, it's 28 out of 60. And then last I was finished 6th. I still got whatever, let's see, it would be 6 minus 20. So I still got about 14 points for finishing instead of just walking back to the car. Then that led me to make some changes with tires. I did swap a tire and put a Recon Race on the bike for the following week. That's just a heavier tire. Seems like something else was going on that week. Maybe I didn't put on my Breathe Right nasal strip or something, but I ended up 20th over out of everybody. Still 3rd, though, in my age category. That hour and 19 minutes. It was a bit of a longer ride with a heavier tire. That's always fun. And then here we are to week now 7. I was 10th overall out of everybody. I was first in my age bracket. 2019 was the last time I had one Wednesday night first place finish. Really, since I've been doing the Wednesday night races since 2014, this is the second time I finished first. So it doesn't happen very often for me, and I realize some people it never happens, but back in the 90s, I only had, when I raced mountain bike one season, I finished 3rd. That was my highest finishing ever before. All right, moving along, week 8. I'm back to finishing 2nd and 15th overall, and 14th out of however many riders showed up that week, not the 119 as it says there. It was a big showing though, 62. All right, so 2nd place, a lot of 2nd place finishes. Like I said, there was that 4th place and a 6th place. And then finally, the last concluding race of this 2022 season, I was 10th again overall and finished 2nd in my age category. And that was it for the race season, and that led to my overall point leader. I was the points leader going into week 9, and so I could have even skipped the race and still took away the overall points leader award. Got a bottle of wine and a little trophy. Just stuck with it. I have fun. It's a lot of community there and people that I see every year and at different races. I'm glad I did it, and let's hope for a good next year. So that's it for race results. I'll move along just to talk about race nutrition and a few other topics related to what I did differently this year. I'll just give you a little prelude to the season. I did only one race in my training at Ancient Lakes. This is a little photo trail side somebody took. And I've done this race 3 times, and this was brutal. I decided to register for the expert class, and it was a 3-lap race. It's pretty flat, but it's a lot of twist and turn. It's just constant turning, accelerating, a lot of dodging rocks. Conditions were pretty good. It was a little dusty because they had to postpone it a little later in the year. Let me talk about my training. and I've got TrainerRoad up here. I did a video way back a few years ago about my training ritual and regimen, and I've had typically been indoor training on a simple trainer on a very old road bike, and I just created my own training. Some years it was a haphazard, I'd ride 3 to 5 days a week, mixed with training indoors and outdoors. I tried to have some sense of long days, maybe one long day a week. I built in at least 2 rest days a week, and I would include various lengths of intervals. I would stream some YouTube training videos, which just told you what to do, and I just used perceived exertion and occasionally would run an old heart rate monitor, and that was it. This last season, though, I finally broke down. I think it was by March, I bought a smart trainer finally. I was just bored of having to do the same ritual and have to create it myself. And then when you train without a smart trainer and some kind of a direction with the app, is that you have to pay attention to the time, and then you have to change your pace, and it takes a lot of mental focus. And I kind of wanted to tune out and also have more guidance. And so after years of listening to the TrainerRoad podcast and following these guys, this is an app, probably the leading training app out there, that develops training programs. And they have also recently developed a AI system that uses this adaptive training. I thought, why not go ahead and do this? It's $20 a month. You can find other reviews on it that are going to go into more detail, but I'll just kind of quickly go through how it went and how this looks. So you can see, this is just giving my career view. I started this. Oh, and by the way, with the Smart Trainer, I demoed a few apps that included Ruvi, Zwift, and those are these virtual kind of social media like platforms. I like Ruvi a lot because it was real video footage that correlates with what you're doing, your training, and you can also be in real time doing races and rides with other people on computers. So it's virtually with the Smart Trainer. It's like Zwift. Zwift is like that as well, except Zwift uses computer generated graphics, and you can experience things like headwinds and drafting and different terrain surfaces, and changes your intensity, your Smart Trainer, automatically. They do have training plans you can follow, but there's more of a just kind of a meetup social element and ride motivation with the video stuff. And finally, I thought, you know what, I want to give TrainerRoad a try because it's more suited for serious racers, I think. People that want to really focus on a customized training plan. And of course, nobody else that I know of is doing this adaptive training. You go in, you sign up, and you create your training plan based on, you can have a goal like a race you're going to do or a few races, or you can just have it training based on your time and what type of riding you do. Let me jump over to my calendar where I set up for a race that I want to do in a few weeks. Actually, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get there, but here's the my calendar view, and the race is actually on Brundage Mountain in North Idaho. It's north of Boise, but it's also just above McCall, Idaho. Let me back up though. Let's go back to, I essentially started this training back in March, like I said, and I put my end goal to do the 24-hour race with my 5-man team in late May. And then interspersed, I put the Wednesday night races in here. And so you put your events, you say what days you can work out, or at least you tell it what days you want off. And I did the mid-low volume, I guess it's mid-volume, where it's about 5 to 6 hours a week. So it would give me 2 days off a week, typically. It tells you what rides to do, or the training program based on marathon level cross country. And that was because it was a 24-hour race, and even though I'm doing a relay, that was the closest to, essentially you do about 75 miles in the course of 24 hours with rest in between. And really it mixed in 1-hour sessions of training. You can see mixed intervals here, and there's some VO2 max, sweet spot, etc. And it's nice because I'd go down with my phone, my smartphone, or I could use my laptop, but I just use my smartphone hooked to my Bluetooth to my Smart Trainer, and click start workout. And then I would stream on my video screen just some YouTube. I could watch anything leisurely, educational, or I could do biking videos in the background as well. So I found it to be really enjoyable as much as training can be. There were some hard workouts. You also notice some of these on the calendar. This is an actual Wednesday night race right here that's linked in here. So it's going to show my race right there. Actually, here was the race itself, Wednesday night, number 7. It's kind of cool because it just keeps track of it, just like in Strava, for instance. I also use Garmin Connect, all these platforms that track the same thing. All right, so flash forward, got through these Wednesday nights. Also, by the way, the end of May, I did the 24-hour race, and our team finished first in our category, second overall for all the 5-person teams. I felt really pretty good considering I did get some rest. It's just a grudge match at the end of it all. But weather cooperated, and that includes this season. On the Wednesday nights, we really lucked out because we had a really cool, wet spring, and we only had one day of really mucky, wet conditions. And other than that, it was great. Let's see, what else to say about that? Oh, let me go to my career again. Yeah, so here's a view of my career. It's showing your progression levels. There's what's called the ramp test, and this AI, this artificial intelligence, essentially calculates your FTP for you, and it helps to adjust as you go. So it learns from how well you're achieving the workouts that you need. Many of you may be familiar with bike training, and you know about the ramp test to calculate your functional threshold power. I won't go into that. The ramp tests are a little bit grueling, and it's to calculate basically how much average power can you put out, the maximum power you can put out for a whole hour if you had to, essentially. The maximum output power you can put out for an hour. So they have various ways of kind of figuring that out. I'm going to go ahead and use their AI FTP detection tool, previous SB235. So now, by the way, I just got off of a 10-day break off the bike completely. So after the Wednesday nights, and now I'm just going into TrainerRoad and created a mini training plan for that other race that's coming up. But saying that I've increased my FTP by only 1 watt from 235 to 236, I'm not surprised. That's fine. Again, 50 plus, about 5'9". I weigh about 150 pounds. I do a little bit of cross training, and I've been training biking for, I guess I'm getting near a decade now. I biked a lot in the 90s. I'm a veteran of cycling, but not worked out consistently for my entire adult life, probably like many of us. All right, so there we go. My training plan. It's a cross-country Olympic plan, July 11th through the end of July. It's pretty much in a short-term phase here to build. Looks like because I didn't want to do the ramp tests and I just did the calculation today, it's telling me I need to do an hour and 30 minutes. Bachman. It's enough of the TrainerRoad. I give it a big thumbs up, I guess, because with the race results speak for themselves. I finished, in prior seasons, 50 plus category, I would finish in the top 5, but not consistently as I did this year. And again, especially with the 24-hour race, I had very consistent lap times, unlike previous years where it started to fade. In fact, my final lap was just really, really solid, and I actually felt pretty good and didn't feel like I was absolutely going to die. Good time. Let's see. From TrainerRoad, I was going to talk about, I'm going to jump around a little bit, but I want to talk about my eyewear. So a little selfie here. This was, I think, one of the first nights of the Wednesday night races. I'm wearing my new Oakley Prizms. And so I finally, after, gosh, I've had an old pair of prescription Oakleys from like over 15 years ago, and the prescription was old, and they were too dark and tinted. And with mountain biking in the forest, you need lenses that aren't too darkened, that allow more light to get through. And the Oakley Prizms are touted to be these specific for certain sports, and in the case of these are made for mountain biking. And this specifically is the Prizm Torch. They have 2 different prisms. They have the regular prism for mountain biking and the Prizm Torch. The Torch does provide just a little bit of more darkening than the original prism, because people were finding that when you're in the real bright sunlight, the contrast is a little bit too strong and bright. But it's like when I put these things on, I was like, every detail, not to mention that it's prescription. I, in the past, have just been wearing my regular eyeglasses for racing, my prescription glasses, and I'm nearsighted. Super happy with them. The side view here. This is the Oakley Flak 2.0 XL Prizm Torch, a mouthful. They were comfortable. I'd get to the point where I wasn't even aware that they were on. You're just seeing the trail. In mountain biking, especially cross country, I mean, your vision is everything.